When you've lost your job, one of the things you need most is some support. And there is no better support than from people who've been where you are. That's where Ian Cunningham comes in. He created the support group Corporate Healing. Ian, thank you for taking your time to talk to all of us who've gone through this experience.
Great. Thanks for having me, Craig. I'm a helper, and this is all I want to do. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, clearly you're a helper because you, when you created this, you weren't just thinking about yourself, you were thinking of other people. What is corporate healing?
So corporate healing, like you said, it's a support group. And if you want to equate this to AA, it's like a group of people that have shared experiences, gaining support through those shared experiences. I realized back when I was let go back in 2019 that, you can get that tactical support. You can get the LinkedIn help, the resume help, the cover letter help, the networking help. But if you're not emotionally ready, this stuff just goes through you. It doesn't stay with you. You're not ready to learn it. And it's because you haven't decided on how you're going to grieve what's happened with your job loss.
And what happens at your meetings?
You know what? It's funny. The first times I started doing the meetings, I basically went into it with, well, what am I feeling? What's my biggest issue right now? So I would open up the meetings with, look, if anybody has an issue that they want to address, please bring it up immediately. But most people are very shy in a group setting. So, when I would get no response, I would say, well, you know what, here's what I was feeling. And I would be brutally honest about how I was feeling, whether it was about anxiety, whether it was about imposter syndrome, whether it was about my self-worth, whether it's about my confidence. I would be detailed and very, very open about what I was feeling and experiencing in my job loss. And that would generate conversation. And it would generate conversation not just to help me, but you would now get people opening up, because I started by opening up.
Oh yeah, the best way to get people to reveal their vulnerabilities is to show yours.
Yes, exactly. And I have no problem with that. And I know that's how help really happens, because people need to resonate, and they need to know that they're not the only one. And that's where I really think group support helps, because I never had the power to go and get that one-on-one help. I didn't have the courage to get that one-on-one help. So be able to absorb information through osmosis, through conversations happening with people, and me being the fly on the wall or the third wheel, that is where my learning came, and my epiphanies of, wow, like I feel exactly like that too. And look what that person is doing and trying to do. I mean, wow, this is something I need to try. And I can do that without having that person sitting directly across from me who possibly never experienced what I did, trying to help me with my emotional sufferings.
One thing that I have gone through in various parts of grief in my life, and I've heard from other people too, is when you go through something, there are people there to talk to you immediately, and there are people you will share with. But as it goes on, you become more reluctant to talk to those people because you feel like you're repeating yourself, or you feel like you're dumping all your problems on someone you love and you feel better and now they feel bad, or you feel like, hey, it's just me complaining more. So to have a group of people who are going through similar things is a really great resource, because you're not dumping on your problem on someone who doesn't have that problem, and you're not complaining to someone who may not have the capacity for it.
Agreed. And one thing that we do try to focus on during the meetings is positivity. We're very conscious of mindset. So it isn't a pity party. Yes, if you're suffering, yes, we want to hear it. But we're not going to allow pile on and jump on and the energy in the meeting to go down a negative path, because that's not what we're there for. We're there to change our mindsets. We're there to help with those emotional struggles. So yes, you have to be honest about what you're feeling, but you also have to be accepting of change. Mm-hmm. Your reality has changed, and you need to accept what happened in that reality and all the help that's coming to you from strangers is uncomfortable and a little jarring, but it's exactly the help that you need right now, and you have to accept it.
Yeah, one of the things that's very hard to accept is, when these things happen, they change you. You become a different person, not a completely different person, but, you're not the same, and you have to be able to go with that change, because quite often these bad things that happen to you, job loss being just one of them, can make you a better person. There are things you can learn through this, through going through this pain and self-discovery. You can learn a lot about yourself and about life. What are some of the success stories you've had? What are the changes you've seen in people through your program?
It's one's me. I've learned to be way better listener. I've learned how to communicate better. I've learned how to stay in touch with my feelings, how to really, really get a touch on it and very accurately be able to know when I'm feeling something and be able to articulate it out loud or write it down so that it doesn't linger and doesn't drive me down a mindset I don't want. But we've watched people during meetings who start off in the pity party mode, the woe's me mode. And after having helpful and supportive conversations at the end of the meeting, 90 minutes, they're the ones first offering the help and the support that's needed by other people. So it does happen like right away. You can tell that they just need to know they're not alone, but they need to be guided that this self-pity, it's not going to help. And understanding that power of, you can say hello to those bad feelings. Hey, yeah, you know what? I don't feel good about myself right now. Shake hands with it and accept it and just find a way to forgive yourself. Acceptance and forgiveness. Those are the two biggest things I've learned through this journey.
Yeah, let's talk about your journey a little bit. I think by now people will understand what it is you're offering and the benefits of it. But obviously you went through something powerful for you to start this and to feel the need for it and to put into action something like this for other people. How did you get here?
It took, what was for me a devastating change of career. I was a day oneer at the Fan 590 in Toronto. I worked with Bob McCallum, Gord Stellick, Dan Schulman, Mike Hogan, on and on and on, and built that station from ground zero. I was the person that everybody came to with any question about the station. It was me. And then when my boss, Nelson Millman, moved on to television, we didn't realize how much he was really protecting the radio group, because when he was gone, everybody jumped in, upper management, to try and take control and do different things. And part of that was removing the people that were in charge. And I was in charge. I was a manager. And to watch what they did to the station when I couldn't play in the same sandbox anymore was just heart-wrenching and devastating. It right down to, and I say sandbox because it really was an inner child that it touched me. I was so married to this job and this station, and didn't realize it until it was taken away from me, how much it affected me. And it affected me horribly. I became, I'm a very patient, happy, outgoing person. I wasn't after that. I was a horrible husband. I was a horrible father. I was miserable. I was angry. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't talk to anybody because I didn't have the courage. I felt it wasn't, getting that one-on-one help just wasn't going to be the fix for me. Getting another job was going to be the fix for me. And then it took me 2 years to get back into the industry, working with Bell Media at TSN 1050. And that wasn't the fix. I was still miserable. I was still a horrible person. I was still angry. So there was something else that had to happen. And my wife and I were looking for different things. And luckily, a business partner of mine was running networking events. He called it My Networking Empire. His name's Joel Martin. And he introduced me. Not only was it just handshaking and people trying to grow their businesses, there would be guest speakers. And to hear their stories of transformation from where they were, and these are people with car accidents, illness, deaths, in the families close to them that made them wake up and realize they needed to change where they were in life. Listening to those speakers, it made me realize, wow, I'm not in the place where I need to be. I'm in the emotional rut of being devastated. And it made me realize I was grieving. I didn't know I was grieving a job loss. I didn't know that was even possible. And that's where the epiphany started with, yeah, you're grieving this and you've never really dealt with it. So doing these networking events and watching more public speakers, and then doing public speaking training myself, huge epiphanies, watching coaches and professionals come in and need wake-up calls because their egos and other things were the way. And that was my other epiphany. It's my ego that's stopping me from accepting and forgiving what happened to me in 2011. And as these epiphanies happened, I started to relax. I started to become a better person. And I'm never going to be the person I was when I was at the fan, and that's fine. But I've really learned how to address my emotions properly, writing them down and writing down. So I feel afraid, but afraid is one category. What in there is making you afraid? So when you talk about listing emotions, it's spending an afternoon or a full morning detailing exactly, why am I feeling afraid? Why am I feeling anxious? Because anxious is not the emotion, and anxious is the title. There are things driving that anxiety that are tied in with multiple emotions. And that's when the idea of corporate healing came, because through these public speaking trainings, I would meet people and I would tell them my story, and they would come up to me and go, I know exactly what you're feeling. I felt the same way, and I felt guilty because it's just a job loss. It's not a death. And that was the inspiration that, you know what, there's, as my business partners say, there's a white space out there that needs to be filled. And it's this emotional support of a job loss that just nobody seems to want to take on.
Well, clearly you've taken it on, and the self-awareness that you have now, I think it's safe to say you never would have had that if you'd stayed in that job that helped define you in a lot of ways.
I totally agree. The adversity, the needing to dig down and realize what is it that's happening with me. I would have never been able to express myself the way I do now. Everything would have been a joke. Everything would have been, from humor, not a serious, heartfelt emotion in sharing. And that is really deep lesson for me, is being truthful and being honest, and the value that just telling an honest story about how you feel can uplift one person to the point where they're no longer going to be in that rut anymore. And that's where if I can help just that one person, man, that makes it totally worth it for me.
And what difference has this made to your family?
Well, we can get things done around the house. This, being locked down, we're remarkably calm. We don't get into a lot of disagreements. We understand where we are. Even when I'm having a bad day or my wife's having a bad day, it's not the end of the world. We're not screaming at each other. We're not rushing to blame. Like, there is no blame. It's just, hey, why are we this way? Let's figure out what emotion's driving this. So it's led to much calmer conversations and better emotional outcomes.
So the takeaway from all of this is, for anybody who's lost their job, and from my experience, I wasn't happy in the place I was. I wanted out. I'd waited for a package. The company that let me go was fair to me. They gave me a very fair severance. They were good in the negotiation, and they handled my release with class and kindness. And still, it's the start of a journey, right? There are a lot of things to deal with when you lose part of your identity. But the takeaway for all of this is, for those people who've lost their jobs, is you're not alone. As I just said, this isn't the end. This is the beginning of a journey you're on. And there is a lot of growth and happiness that can be ahead of you, even if you don't feel that way now. And one of the best places to get that is to join a group like yours where you can talk to people who are feeling the same things and you can reinforce each other.
Absolutely. I've and it's not for everybody. I'll tell you that. Some people, the one-on-one is the help they need. And some people are quite all right. They've been through this multiple times and they're like, yep, I'm good. See you later. But the group support, the power in group support, it's not just the support itself, it's the power of the group support, I think is what makes what we do so impactful and can be immediately impactful right from the first meeting.
How do people join your group?
Well, they can email me at corporatehealingemail.com. And I'll get back to them and I'll say, yeah, we've got a meeting. We usually have meetings every 3 weeks to a month. We're generating guest speakers. There's mindfulness that we talk about, but there's also tactful learnings as well as business conversations. So it's not just all about the emotions, but the emotions are definitely forefront.
And the link will be below this interview. You'll be able to find it easily. We're not keeping it a secret.
No,
all right.
It's not.
Ian, thank you so much for your time, for making yourself available to people, for coming and talking to everybody about it, and for taking a negative and turning it into a positive, not just for yourself, but for other people. That's a huge takeaway. And I'm not the one wearing a hat. Let's just say I've already taken it off to you.
I'm not taking mine off.
That's okay.
But thank you very much.
I haven't earned that the way you have. All right, Ian, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.